Sorry, the wrong mic was on.
Filled with heartbreaks and fights through heart. always looked after me, brother. When we were children, you always had my back. You took all the blame when our father caught us doing things that drove him mad. Through the years I could lean on you when I messed up. I'd call you in the night, but I broke too many promises and we split up. Though I still need ya, you gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I got into this awful spot. I don't know where it ends, so I could use your helping hand tonight. I wanna say that I'm sorry, I got sidetracked and I left you in the cold. I've seen your side of the story, I felt the drawback. My mistake took its toll. Finally, I have realized I was dead wrong. I wasn't thinking straight. No more lies, and from here on out I'll be better, 'cause I still need ya. You gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I got into this awful spot. I don't know where it ends, so I could use your helping hand tonight. I could use your helping hand tonight. I could use your helping hand tonight.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, 'cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart.
Night edition of The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Yeah. Kicking it off Guys, it's April 28th. This is the last episode of April for 2022. We are here for episode 132. Just think about that for a second. Just pause. Just think about that for a second. 132 of these bad boys. Man, how time has flown by. It seems like, just like, I don't know, a few months ago, it seems like anyway, that we were doing episode 100. We had that huge buildup, and now we're halfway to 150 from 100, more than halfway. And man, I don't see any stopping this train. I'm having so much fun, as you will see tonight. A perfect example of why I love doing this show so much is tonight I will be sharing with you an interview that I recorded, speaking with old Uncle Dave, one of our brothers from over there across the pond. He once was a bearded villain in Scotland. He is now a bearded villain with the Black Shire Villains. And he did this really cool thing just this past weekend, a really cool charity event that he did by himself, took part in, called the Kiltwalk. And you can kind of get an idea based on the name of what it is, but his story is very cool. What he's doing, what he did with this event, the design of the event that he actually took part of. It's unlike anything that I've seen or heard of here in the States. Maybe I'm just living under a rock, and there's other events here in the States that are run like that does, but I've just never heard of it. So when we get to that interview, I think you'll enjoy that, because I just wish more events were run in such a way like his event that he was at, this Kiltwalk. And you'll see, I think, why, and I'll discuss that a little bit later. But we are here, guys, Thursday night. We are on a skeleton crew here. I know we don't have a whole lot of viewers live tonight. It's kind of funny because, well, the NFL draft is going on, and there's other stuff going on in the world. I know, and that's fine. But everybody that is here, I greatly appreciate you. And if you're going to listen to it on a standard podcast platform after the fact, I appreciate you just as much. You guys, those of you listening on standard podcast platforms, boy, you guys are the ones that have been here since the beginning, since episode 1, way back when this podcast was, well, let's just be honest, pretty rough. And I sounded like this all the time and felt like I needed to always be right and get everything right. And back before I would do things live, I would record things. The entire podcast was recorded, and I would go back and edit so that it didn't have any mistakes or weird sounds or breathiness or anything. And it was so bad. I look back now on these episodes, and I'm so happy that I found a way to do this live and to record the live streams, because it's so much more conversational. I have so much more fun with it. I don't care if you guys hear me say, and you guys hear out loud as I'm trying to process my next thought, because, hey, I ain't perfect, right? As you guys well know, I'm not perfect. And the thing is, this is live. This is raw. This is what we get. And that's what I love about this show. So thank you guys so much for being here. This is The Heart of a Villain. Again, episode 132. One of the things I've been noticing is I've been doing, some of you guys know this, I've been doing some training and some coaching that I've been doing for voiceover work, because that's something I would really love to get into for a profession that I can do here from my home studio and actually make a living with it, earn some buckos back in the time while I'm here, doing the stay-at-home dad thing. And it's funny because there's little things that I've learned through the process that that we say in everyday language, and then when you see them written on a page, it's easy to shortcut what you see on a page to say it a certain way. And just like I said, and I said it just not even thinking about it just a few seconds ago, I said this is episode 132. Well, if you're used to saying numbers like that. 132. You can't say that if you're using a script of some sort for a voiceover. I learned that very early on in this coaching that I'm doing. I actually said that there was some number, and I recorded it, and I said the number, and then I was told later, no, it's not 132. It's 132. That kind of a thing. So it's funny. It's just one of those weird things that you just learn. You're used to saying something a certain way, and it's just one of those little nuanced things that you just have to change about what you're doing. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what got me off on that tangent. But anyway, well, I want to thank everybody who is here live, and I want to give a big shout out to those of you who are here. Let's see if I can bring them in. Bring a few guys in. I know that, like I said, it's a little scarce out there. It's a little scarce. Sabbath in the house, hanging out. First one to comment, hey, it's going well. It's going well. Mars is here, hanging out with us as well. So I'm going through the comments here. Mars, good to see you. Good to see you. Incidentally, I'll be mentioning here in just a few minutes that Lake Shire Villains, where Mars is from, has a kind of a giveaway going on right now. It's kind of a giveaway / you buy a patch and it's a bonus. So we'll get into that in just a few minutes. But yeah, good to see. Big Mike is here as well. What's up, fellas? Saying, how you doing, Big Mike? Thanks so much for being here. I don't know if we have, and I know I saw Mr. Sully's here. Evening. How you doing, Ty? We're going to talk for a minute here in just a second when we get to the merch. There's a patch that you guys can get out there and get. A very cool red, white, and blue patch. Says Warrior on it, I think. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. Very cool. It's raising money for Ty, our guest from last week, where we were talking about, the medical boy and craziness, and coming out the other side of things, man. Pretty intense. So, again, thanks for being here, guys. Well, before we let's just get into, before we get to our interview, I just want to mention real quick, and before we get into the merch and before we get into the chapter news stuff, I do want to say real quick, this is the last week. If you are listening on a podcast platform, sorry, it's going to probably be too late for you, unless you're listening within the first 12 hours of the podcast being aired in audio form. If you happen to come across this on YouTube or you're watching live and you right now, then you're in luck. But there's about 30 hours left, about 30 or so hours left in the crowdfunding campaign for the film. So you won't have to hear me mention it again. So there's a bonus. But there's 30 or so hours left of that thing. It'll end, I think, tomorrow at midnight. And I'm still short a bit from the goal, but that's okay because everybody has stepped up and been awesome with their donations and their support in this. But if you are here live, I put the link in the comments section and pinned it in there. Excuse me. If you are not live, go to the stories, go to my IG stories for Heart of a Villain, and I have a link in there as well. I will say, everybody that has donated gets put into a Facebook group special for donors of the film. And one of the cool things is that I share very specific things in that group. They've gotten to see a little bit of some footage so far. They've gotten to see a teaser poster image that I've got coming out down the road here that's going to be available. They've also soon will be able to see a T-shirt design, hopefully. So there's all sorts of little things that these guys get to see way before anybody else. And so that's just a bonus that you get for being a donor to the film, even at the lowest level. So something to consider. Well, let's get into our chapter merch first off, and then we're going to get into some really cool chapter news. We had a bunch of chapters this past week doing some pretty cool stuff. So let's get into chapter merch. All right. So some of this stuff has been seen before, and others of it is brand new. So keep your eyes out. I'm going to scroll right through this real quick. Now, this was out before, and we took it off because it had been around for a while. However, because of the efforts of this patch, the proceeds from this patch, and other people requesting, can you extend it? They've decided to open it back up for a couple days. So if you missed out on getting this patch that the Scotland brothers put together, the Ukraine patch, support patch, they have already, and I'm telling you what, guys, I don't have the exact dollar amount. I should, and I apologize for that. But they have already raised several $1,000s that has gone to, they've actually taken it there already. They've made a few trips. A few trips have been made, actually by a few different agent or groups of brothers to take stuff over there, and it's crazy the amount of money that's already been donated, several $1,000s. So because there's still some people out there that wanted to get this, they're opening it back up for a couple days to get some more patches made. So BV Scotland, the Ukraine patch, available at beardedvillainscotland.com. Looks like it's 10, whatever their denomination is over there. I can't read the thing, but anyway, 10. So grab that thing. If you haven't gotten it yet and you want to grab one, please do so. The money is going, and it's actually going to a great situation over there. Okay, the Swampside Villains still have their Memorial Day patch, their Memorial Day limited edition patch out there, $15 USD. It's available at swampsidevillains.bigcartel.com. swampsidevillains.bigcartel.com. It's a pre-sale, so it's probably ending pretty soon. Get out there and grab it if it hasn't already ended. So I didn't double check that before I came on air. Maybe probably should have. I do apologize. Bearded Villains Miami, their autism awareness T-shirt and patch. I've already seen some people out there wearing this thing, and it looks tough. I'm not one that's really big on white T-shirts, just because I abuse the hell out of them and they don't stay white very long. And if you sweat like I do sometimes, you know what happens. You know what happens to those armpits. So I'm not a big white T-shirt person, and like I said, I as soon as I put a brand new white T-shirt on of any kind, it's dirty within guaranteed 15 seconds. It's already dirty. So, but hey, other people really rock this thing out, and there's people already wearing it, sharing it. Excuse me. There it is. So, grab that thing. $22 and up for the shirts, $10 for the patch, the Miami Autism Awareness patch. Grab that thing. Next up, this is the one I was just telling you about, the Warrior patch for Ty. Raising some money because you guys heard his story, and you can well imagine the hospital bills and all the other stuff, and then the lost work, everything that goes into that. You can well imagine what the financial burden that Ty's facing right now. So they came up with this really cool patch, this Warrior patch, and it's available at PennsylvaniaVillainsEast.BigCartel.com. PennsylvaniaVillainsEast.BigCartel.com. If you did not hear his story, I beg you to go back and listen back to the episode that I just did with him, and when you hear his story, it's truly amazing. And lucky to be alive, absolutely. But he knows it, and he's ready. He's humbled, and of course he's humbled. But such a good dude. I enjoyed talking to him. I can't wait to meet him one day. But Pennsylvania East Warrior patch, go out there and grab one of those guys. The proceeds of that are going straight to him to take care of bills and whatnot. So grab that. So next up, remember, we got the ENC hat, the Bearded Villains ENC hat, available via PayPal. You had to pay through PayPal, but hit up the boys just to make sure you're doing everything right the way they want it. BV Eastern North Carolina at gmail.com. BV Eastern North Carolina at gmail.com. It's where you can get that hat, but also there's one other thing they're doing. BV Eastern North Carolina, They have a patch, their autism patch, $12 or $14 international. Same place, 2 items. What are you going to do, right? Grab it. Bearded Villains ENC. Go out there and grab that thing. Moving on. We've got, this is new this week, came out. It is a pre-order, the Bearded Villains Pennsylvania West chapter. They've been quiet for a little while, right? Just like that thing in the weeds, just watching, just waiting to strike, just like that little snake or whatever it is. And they're pouncing. They're coming out of the woodwork, guys. And the Steel Villains are back with a vengeance. They're coming out, striking hard. BV Pennsylvania West. Pre-order shirt. This thing looks pretty tough. Ends 5/3. So you got till May 3rd. May 3rd. The shirts are $20 to $23. Available at steelvillains.bigcartel.com. Steelvillains.bigcartel.com. And again, BV New York Upstate. Talked about this for a couple weeks, but boy, do those cups look pretty damn cool. They're silicone pint glass. It's on a pre-order, $16.95 for those guys. And they also have their Memorial Day patch. Very cool stitch with, it's kind of like a hybrid between their logo and something else that goes along with Memorial Day. All of that's available at bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. Then don't forget about the Bearded Villains Central England chapter shirt. This thing is available. This is the last week that it's going to be out there for a pre-order, right? So I won't be having this on next week because it's after May 1st. So the pre-order goes till May 1st. It's their 4-year anniversary shirt with a completely different logo. It's a brand new logo for BV Central England. So get out there and grab one of those guys. It's 21 pounds plus shipping. Go out there and grab it. Bearded Villains Central England. Next up, I think this is still out there and available, the Bearded Villains Finland shirt. It's their summer pre-order shirt, 25 euros, available in green or blue. If that thing is still out there, go grab that as well. And then finally, got to bring this on because I got to bring this on. Bearded Villains Lakeshore. Boy, I always kind of joke around about how much merch they have out there available. They're one of the chapters that has an entire store you can fill up with. But really cool thing they're doing right now. They have a giveaway. So you buy this anniversary patch. You buy the anniversary patch, $10. $10. 13 Canadian, $10 US, right? You are then entered automatically without doing anything else. You are automatically entered in to be, eligible for a drawing. And that drawing is going to be, the winner of that drawing gets a t-shirt. Limited, it's a cool t-shirt. But a limited one-of-one patch and an X Factor patch, all in one. What kind of a bundle? So you get, one-of-one, you get the stuff that their chapter members get without being a chapter member. And very, very cool that they're opening that up. So only their chapter members have that patch. So you get the patch, you buy the patch, so that's a bonus already. It's a beautiful patch at a cheap price, only $10. But then on top of that, you're entered in for this drawing. And you could potentially get the shirt, the one-of-one patch and the X Factor patch all at the same time for simply just buying the $10 patch. So it's all available at lakeshorevillains.com. lakeshorevillains.com. Go out there and grab the anniversary patch for only $10. There's literally a handful of those things out there still. So at last check, I don't even know. I know last week, and I'm being told right now, I apparently didn't include the full package. Mars says, plus the original logo patch. So the very first patch that they came out with, that's sitting back here on my shelf somewhere. So, wow. I mean, come on. It's a no-brainer, right? You get all that. LakeshoreVillains.com. I think there's probably well under 50 of these available right now. I'm guessing. There were more than that last week, but I know they've sold more. So because of this giveaway, don't miss out. When they're gone, they're gone. And for $10, guys, you get an amazing patch. and the chance to get all this other stuff. So, hey, go out there and grab that thing. All right, that is our chapter merch for this week. Okay. Now, we had some chapters do some really cool stuff this past week. My chapter was one of them. And of course, even though I don't like to promote technically myself, I don't like to say, hey, look at us over here. But I gotta give props to our chapter as well as other chapters here. When our chapter steps out and does something cool, just like I would any other chapter, I got to mention it. So let's get into what's going on with chapter news. Okay. Well, let's go. First off, now I think I missed this last week. I was looking back at my notes, and I don't think that I included this last week based on the way that I have files set up on the computer and everything else. So I did have to give a shout out. Anytime we have a chapter that comes out with a brand new redesigned logo or something, I got to give a shout out to that. Bearded Villains Columbia. Bam, right? Bearded Villains Columbia came out hot off the presses a couple weeks ago with this brand new logo. And what's really cool is they've actually, this is just part of what they've came out with. This head with this headdress on, the beard, everything, that's just the face of a larger logo that they can actually utilize in other ways as well. So Bearded Villains Columbia coming out strong, brand new logo. Very cool. I can't wait to see this in a patch. I mean, the bright, bold colors that these guys have on here, it's awesome. It's awesome. So get out there and keep your eyes out for, first of all, give a big shout out to Columbia when you get a chance for their awesome new logo. But then get out there when they come out with the merch. Give our boys a hand and grab some of that merch for sure. That's going to be one hell of a cool logo. All right. Moving on to some other chapter news. Our bros out there with Pennsylvania East. The Pennsylvania East chapter did something pretty cool. They're not the only one, because we have a few chapters out there that doing this. They actually have an Adopt a Highway area. So in this case, 2 miles. I know some of the Adopt a Highway areas in different states are only 1 mile. These guys are responsible for 2 miles. So just this past week, they got out there and did some cleaning, and it's awesome. What's really cool is this picture that you're seeing right here. It represents not just the chapter, but the family, right? It shows the family of the chapter because, number one, not everybody in that picture is members of Pennsylvania East, first and foremost. Secondly, it shows we got kids in there. We got other family members in there. And, man, it's just, I love it when we see other people within our BV circle come out to help out our chapters in something that we're doing with charity. So very cool. Big shout out Pennsylvania East on their Adopt a Highway cleanup that they just recently did. Talking about other people and family and friends and whatnot helping out. This is my chapter. Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana. Once again, I love it when we can do this, guys. You guys have heard me talk about this organization a ton, and for good reason, because I absolutely love their mission. I love working with them. It's a tangible thing. It's not donating money. It's getting down and getting dirty and actually working with this organization. And it's one of those things where you see the results. You actually see these results. And so anytime we get a chance to work with an organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which if you haven't heard me talk about it before, it's an international organization. It's a 501c3 that goes out. They take pieces of wood and they have a bed build day, and volunteers come in and they build all the pieces of the beds, and then they stack them up and put them away. And then there's a bed delivery day that comes up later. It can be a week later, a month later, whenever it works out. And this was us this past weekend with Bed Delivery Day. We've done the bed builds. We've done the bed delivery days. I think these bed delivery days are just the pinnacle of feeling good and feeling like you're doing something. We actually got to deliver to over 20 houses, to over 20 kids, got new beds this specific day. Our chapter actually split into 2 different groups with other volunteers that we brought with us, and just awesome stuff. These are kids that are no longer sleeping on the floor. That's their motto. No kid sleeps on the floor in our town. And the one thing I do tell everybody that when they ask about this organization, there are chapters, multiple chapters of Sleeping Heavenly Peace in numerous states. And I just ask you to kind of keep your eyes out. If you're looking for something to do, if you're looking for a charity, an organization that you can help out with, that you can do something where it's not just you're donating money to, that you're getting out there and doing something with. Sleep in Heavenly Peace, check them out. It's extremely rewarding. So big shout out to my boys, BV Northern Indiana. Got to work again with them. And I need to give a special shout out too to the Bearded Villains Indiana chapter, the BVIN chapter out of Indy. Their captain, Hawksby, back before he was a captain, way back several years ago, he was the first one in our area that I even heard of that actually found out about Sleeping Heavenly Peace. And so back as when we were members of the BVIN chapter in Indianapolis, that was the first time we partnered with the Indianapolis chapter, and I found out about these organizations. Then we found out when we split, we came up here and we had our northern chapter, there was a chapter up here. So big shout out to him and to all the chapters out there, Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Check them out. Go out to their website. I think it's like shp.org or something like that. But there's chapters all over, guys. If you're looking for something to do, get out there and help these guys. It's an amazing time. Now, I say that because our brothers up in Michigan heard about them, right? They heard about Sleep in Heavenly Peace, found a chapter there in Michigan, and what do? This past weekend, while we were doing our bed delivery, they were doing a bed build day. How cool is that with this organization, Sleep in Heavenly Peace? So you can see here in the pictures, they actually were the ones that this was the day for them that they were actually putting the pieces of the wood together and getting the beds ready to go. And it's just an awesome time. So big shout out to Michigan as well for finding Sleep in Heavenly Peace and taking part with them. That's so far what I've got for the this week's chapter news. If for some reason I didn't talk about something you're doing, it's probably because I didn't know about it. So make sure you're sharing. I would love to talk for 20 minutes about all the different chapters doing really cool stuff out there. That is chapter news for this week. All right. Well, guys, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It's awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I get chills when I think about all the cool things that our chapters are out there doing for other people. Now, this week's episode is going to include, now I'm going to be sharing with you the story, the interview that I had with Uncle Dave. That's what he goes by, Uncle Dave. He is a brother that is recently, with the Black Shire Villains. Started out with Scotland. And he did something really cool. I reached out to him when I saw the picture and when I heard about what this event was that he was doing. I reached out to him immediately. I was like, dude, I need to talk. I want to find out about this event. I want to find out what you're doing with this thing. And we waited until he was done with the event to talk about it. Just an awesome dude. I can't wait to meet him. I know I'm going to meet him one day soon, hopefully, in person. But for now, we're relegated to the interview online. So I hope you enjoy my interview with Uncle Dave from Black Shire Villains, talking about his path, his journey, but also about some of the charity stuff he's doing and what they got planned. So check this out. This week, we're bringing you another international brother from the Black Shire Villains. He was involved in a really cool charity event this past weekend, something he's done before, but something I'd never heard of before. And we're going to learn a little bit about him and about this charity effort he did. So help me welcome Uncle Dave from Black Shire Villains, everybody. How you doing, Dave?
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm doing good. How are you, Brian?
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited. Anytime I get a chance to talk to somebody that I don't get a chance to talk to very often, in this case ever really before, from a different part of the world, it's fun for me. This is what I did this podcast for, man. So I'm excited to talk to you.
It's always exciting, and I love to meet more brothers. I've been a fan of the podcast for a minute now, and it's an utmost pleasure just to be here.
Well, if you can, I've talked to a couple guys from Blackshire before, and I know that you guys are very active. And boy, you love the merch game for sure. Your chapter, it's awesome. As a matter of fact, right here I got one of my favorite hats that I wear. You probably see me wearing it here all the time. But tell me, what is it like? What's Blackshire up to? Tell me a little bit about how you found the Bearded Villains and your journey there.
Okay, so I joined the Bearded Villains back in February of 2019. Prior to that, I was just kind of coasting through life. I can't say there was a lot happening. I was in a bit of a rut, if I'm honest. Bad group of friends. Not the best relationship, not the best job, and then started growing the beard, tagging just beards of Instagram, bearded Scotsman, and a couple of the guys from America started liking the photos, putting up all the emojis, crabs, swords, flags, hats, and I think it was actually Beard Gang 410, shout out Beard Gang, and had a look at his page, and he was flying the flag and had bandanas on and really good looking photos that looked professionally taken. And I thought, like, what is this? I need to find out more. And I looked more into what Bearded Villains was, and I was like, so it's about brotherhood and charities and being part of a chapter. And then I looked and I was like, well, there's got to be something in the UK. And then I figured out that there was all these chapters across England, and we had one in Scotland, Wales, and we had the chapter in Ireland as well. And I reached out to the guys in Scotland and said, how do I join? And I think maybe a day passed, and I was on my way home from London at the time, and they got me initiated, got me into the supporters chat. Was a supporter for I think maybe a month, and then I was a hopeful, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, geographically speaking, now I know I always laugh because we Americans are very bad at international geography a lot of times. And so, and it seems like everybody else in the world is much better with geography than we are when it comes to world geography. Probably because you guys encounter, other countries that are so close to you and so numerous right there. And so, whereas I would say I'm going to go fly to California for something, that could be going to 3 or 4 different countries over for you guys. So can you kind of describe whereabouts you live, and then how that interacts with the other chapters that are kind of in your area?
Yeah, so I now live in Edinburgh, capital of Scotland. I've been here for the last 2 years now. Prior to that, I grew up in Glasgow, and how that kind of works with how it works with the Scottish chapter is that the Scottish only have one chapter, and that's for everyone across the country. It can be quite hard when guys are trying to set up meets, because we've got some folk in the Central Belt, some people up in like places like Aberdeen, even further. We've got the Highlands and the Inverness, and it can be challenging when there's not like a big chapter meet, or when we're doing an event like Edinburgh, and so it can be, I'd say, a little bit far and few between. And then especially when the pandemic hit, it was much more difficult. And I was made an honorary member of Blackshire somewhere through the pandemic, and I managed to go down and see our boy Juggernaut, and I went to his, he calls it Jugs Fest. It was a big barbecue party he has in his back garden, and best friends with Alex, and I managed to probably see the Blackshire boys a good few times and get down to a couple of their meets. And I feel like at this point in my journey that I wanted to make a pivot. and continue on being just as active as I can and involved in as much charity, and still stick to the mission statement of what BV meant to me 3 years ago, and that's having a good time, spending a good time with brothers, raising lots of cash for good people, doing charity and doing events, and that's what Black Shire is all about, and I'm all here for it.
All right. So you are, even though you live in Scotland, you are actually part of Black Shire then?
I am now, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been, I don't even think it's been a week yet. It might have
Oh.
just turned a week.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was so new. Okay, very cool. All right. Well, then congratulations on that switch up. I'm sure you're still going to be close with everybody else in Scotland, and where your roots are and where everything else is, where you're based
100%.
out of, for sure. And you guys are so close. I mean, the chapters there are so close. It's very similar, I think, from what in talking to brothers that are over there, especially in the UK. There's so many chapters that are just a stone's throw away, but they're different countries, and it's very similar to how we might be just a few states away from someplace here in the U.S. And I know how we are as far as it's not a big deal for us to travel a couple states over to go to an event. So it's probably similar for you guys there, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So if we've got, well, I would say the UK is like a stone in the pond compared to how big America is. So going from Scotland down to like even Leeds, or going to Manchester, Newcastle, even going to London, just to the capital of the UK, it's decent. I mean, you can get most places on a flight for less than an hour, and it probably costs us maybe £30-40 for a return if you book it enough in advance.
Oh, wow.
So it can be cost effective, time effective, and really when you're looking at it like that, it's hard to make excuses not to do it, and I just love getting involved. So make the effort anyway. Doesn't matter where it is, we're going.
I love it. I love hearing that. That's great. And yeah, the interaction that you guys have over there, I love. And I'm just excited. One day, fingers crossed. I got my passport finally. So I just got to find an inexpensive, if they even exist, an inexpensive flight to come over there, because my wife and I always said that we would love to come over to hop the pond and go to Ireland and Scotland and that whole area, because we just love that. We've seen it, at least. We've never been there, but we'd love to go explore it. And then, of course, when we go there, we have to explore all the UK and everything else. So big long trip.
You know what? I recently just got my adult passport as well, so I am joining you on that. And I can finally say that I've been on a big boy holiday, albeit I went with all my work friends, and we went to Spain for a week, and it was nice to go abroad again as an adult and just have no cares and be a bit stress free for a week. And I thought, this is kind of nice. I could do this all the time. I don't know what kept me from doing this for so long.
Yeah, I hear that from everybody when they finally travel internationally for the first time as an adult. They say, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. But it's funny because and maybe this is the dumb side of me talking, but here it's you get so used to doing everything here. Everything that you could want to do is here. But if you really want to experience a lot of beauty and history, true world history, you can't stay here. You've got to travel the world, and especially over in Europe and in the areas that are anything attached to that whole continent. That's where the history is. So I'm trying to break out of my shell a little bit.
I love that.
My first international event will be this in a couple months up in Canada. I know that technically is international, and some people would say that's not really counting, but
counts.
That'll be my first time using the passport. And then, I'm hoping for next year that I can finally make it, or maybe at the very end of this year if I can figure out a financial way to do it. But we'll see. Coming over there, it'd be fun. But boy, I want to hear about this this Kiltwalk that you were involved in, because I read the description of it, and I'm not super physically fit, if you know me at all anymore. Anyway, I used to was, I used to be, but walking for, a few miles, most people say no big deal. But this wasn't just a few miles. Tell a little bit about what is the Kiltwalk and how did you get involved in this?
Okay, so the Kiltwalk, it's probably one of the biggest events in Scotland. They do it. It used to be 4 times a year, and typically they'll do a walk in Glasgow, a walk through Edinburgh, Dundee, and Aberdeen, and they're split up quite consecutively over the year. Glasgow's the first one this year, and that starts from the city centre in Glasgow Green, and it goes for approximately 23 miles, but you end up walking more than that, and it takes you down to a place called Balloch, and that's quite near Loch Lomond, which I'm sure everyone's heard the songs of the Bonnie Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond.
Yes.
So it's quite near there, and yeah, I would say it's a fun walk. It doesn't really feel all that fun when you're actually participating, maybe at the start. But there's presenters, there's music, there's loads of support. There's so many people that turn out. They start tapering it off from, I think it's as early as 8 a.m. for the first ones to start, and then the last walkers start at 10 o'clock. And just with the way that the trains and transport works, that kind of works best for me. I like starting late and trying to finish early and set myself a challenge, albeit I took my black lab this time, Luna. She just turned 1 in March, so I figured that we're both at the peak of our lives, and physically it's never really going to get better for both our fitness. So she came along, and she was still pulling me from about 20 miles in and had no signs of letting down. So we actually both got a medal, and the dog got a massive round of applause, a very hearted cheer, and claps off of everybody. And it was awesome. It was probably one of the best days out I've ever had. I think all in, the walking was 7 hours. We took about an hour's rest in between, and the dog still found time to go swimming in a pond as well. So it was a great day.
That's like dog's best day ever. Go out and be able to get some exercise in, play in a pond, and get a medal. That's cool. That's awesome. You can't say that about many dogs out there, man. So 23 miles. 23 miles. Now,
Yeah.
just to put in perspective, you said 7 hours, but that included your hour break?
So on Strava, I think it recorded 8, and the moving time was actually 7. So 7 hours of just heavy walking, and then the hour of like resting at each pit stop. And when we were there, it was like maybe 10 minutes at a time if you were lucky, just to try to rekindle and grab some water, or maybe grab like a biscuit or something just to keep you going. I had loads of protein bars in my bag. I just thought I'm going to need to just try and keep up the energy and get enough fuel to keep me going, because you can under anticipate it. I've been doing it since I joined BV, and I try and do 2 a year at least.
Oh,
This year I've got the goal that I want to try and do Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, and the virtual one. So we're going to try 4, and it kind of almost spreads out for, I want to say each quarter, but it's towards the latter end of the year. I think there's like 2 of them that are right next to each other, so might require a wee bit of training this year. But
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
It's a heavy day.
What now? How many? I mean, what's the weather like? I mean, I know you can get rain or whatever, but like the temperatures wise during these different events throughout the year going to be?
Well, yesterday's event was supposed to be quite cloudy. I think it was meant to be like 13 degrees, and it ended up being about 18 at the peak. And there was hardly any wind. It just felt like the sun was scorching, and it turned out to be beautiful from start to finish. And I think probably the later on in the year, September, definitely going to be raining. I mean, in the capital, 100%. There'll be rain and a lot of wind. Thankfully, I don't think we'll catch any snow for any of them, but that was as good as it's going to get.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So knowing that and still saying this is my goal for the year, I want to try and do that, and that you've already had it as good as it's going to get, and knowing that you're going to do that roughly that same distance, 23 or so miles in rain and wind, that just sounds miserable. I don't care how beautiful the countryside is. That just sounds miserable.
You know what? They started bringing in the virtual Kiltwalk at I think it was like mid last year, and that one was a marathon, and so that was the 26 miles. And they said you can either do it in one day, you can split it up over a weekend, as long as you record it. We don't mind how you do it. Record it on Strava. So me and all the Scottish chapter decided that we were going to go hill walking to do this Kiltwalk, and we under anticipated it being a heavy marathon and a long day out, and we ended up going round hills and up them, and I think we would have been close to have been bagging a Monroe, and then came back down and we looked and we're like, we've still got so many miles we need to do. So by the time we got round all these mountains, we crawled through loads of heather. There was like bushes right up to our knees. It was definitely not a walking path. Like, we had to climb over things and crawl. It was a nightmare. So a couple of the guys dropped out. They're like, can't do this after this. And then there was like five of us, six of us that decided we're going to finish this. And I think that took us like 10 hours.
Oh my gosh. I mean, hey, congratulations for that effort, because I mean, that's crazy. That's but it's, I know it's for charity and it's something that you just, you have in your heart you want to do, but I mean, even when I was working out consistently, there was a time, I want to say probably close to 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I had this weird, wild idea, and it was on the 4th of July here. And it was a nice, beautiful, but yet not humid, but sunny and very warm day. So it was probably like 85 to 88 degrees here, Fahrenheit. And so I just decided on my own one day, after I got done with work, I had to work. I was a police officer. I had to work a parade route. And then I came home after that, and I just said, you know what? I need to go on a little walk. And I said, I don't know how long it's going to go, but I'm just going to see how many miles I get in. And I just kept walking, and I went out in the country and just kept walking. And before I knew it, I routed it out. And by the time I found a path that was going to take me back home, it ended up being 16 miles. And it was just, on the roadways. So I'm just walking, but it was 16 miles and I was dead.
Wow.
Just from and I didn't walk fast by any means. It was just me and my headset, to listen to music, and no dogs. So it wasn't that much. It wasn't as much fun as you had, but that was 16 miles. And I said, boy, I don't think I'd ever do that again. I mean, maybe it's more fun if you have other people with you, and maybe I need to just train up for it, because it was completely out of the blue. I never even, the most I'd ever actually walked for any stretch was maybe a few miles at a time, but that's it. I just decided to try it, and that was still what? I mean, a good 7-8 miles less than you're walking. I got all sorts of praise for you, man. That's crazy.
I think sometimes, like, doing those spontaneous walks can be easier because you set out on a mission and you kind of feel determined. You've got a spring in your step, and you're like, nah, I'm out just to walk today, and this is what I want to do, and nothing's going to stop me. When you've got your headphones, you're in the zone, it's easy to get lost track. And I done it quite a lot at the start of 2020 when there was nothing else to do, and I thought, I'm either going to take the bike out or I'm going to walk. And I think I cycled most of the city every day, or I walked most of the city, and I was averaging maybe like 40,000 steps just for something to do, because it was better than sitting in the house. And I had a couple of days myself where I just get determined halfway through a wee stroll, and then I would be like, I want to go on a big stroll, and then a bigger stroll, and I'd look, and it'd be dark outside by this point, and I'm cold, and I'm wearing shorts and a hoodie, and I'm like, I should probably go home, and I'm like, I've done like 14 miles today.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie Forrest Gump, where it's just he says, "I felt like running. Yeah, I just felt like walking. I just felt like walking," and that's how it was. It just one day, and it can be very relaxing. It gets you in your, gets you, lets you just kind of think. And some people do it
Yeah.
because it lets them not think. Other people think better when they do things like that. But it's a nice thing to do. If you have good shoes, don't do it with bad shoes. And it's even harder if you have bad feet, which unfortunately I do. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit more difficult. But I'm impressed, man. I think it's really cool. Now, tell me, the Kiltwalk, what is it raising money for? What's the charity that it benefits?
So I think at the start it was you could only pick. I don't think you could even pick the charity. Now there's so many charities that do it that
Oh,
it's so a guy called Sir Tom Hunter actually took it over, and he's got a foundation called the Hunter Foundation. And what they do is they put 50% of the overall earnings of each charity, and they put that into each one. So I done it for children's hospices across Scotland. They've just called Chaz. But there was people doing it for Scottish autism. They were doing it for Beatson's cancer. They were doing it for cancer research, Marie Curie. They were doing it for mental health. There's so many charities and so many causes. Everyone's got their own stories. Some groups were doing it for loved ones that have passed away, and for some people that they've lost to drug overdoses and suicides. And you really go through so many journeys when you're walking past all these faces and you see all their signs in the t-shirts. And to think like, so when you're on, they've got like a kind of leaderboard on the app, and it shows the groups. And I think the biggest team had raised something like, the last time I looked, it was like 20,000. And so the Hunter Foundation is going to put 50% of 20,000 towards that. And it's just nice to think that you're going to raise that and still walk away with like 30 grand for your
yeah.
charity. Like, that's amazing.
That's so. I've never even heard of something like. I mean, maybe
I know.
maybe that exists here in the States too. Something like that, where an organization lets you pick your charity, and then they still. That's very, very cool. I've
Yeah.
never heard of, because usually it's you're walking, that one walk is dedicated for one specific charity, but the idea,
Usually, yeah.
yeah, the idea that you can actually pick a charity of your choosing, that's incredible. And then everybody that, oh, I love that idea. That is so cool, because no matter what, everybody has something on their heart. Everybody has a cause that they want to do, and the fact that you could have your own cause and it's different from the person walking next to you is that's very, very cool. I love that. That's really cool.
Definitely. And I
Wow.
think that when I go back and I do it again in September, when I do it in the capital, I'm going to do it for a different charity. I feel like I want to try and give back to as many as I possibly can. And even though I'm not in the Scottish chapter anymore, the boys are raising money for Cajones, which is a Scottish charity for testicular cancer. And one of our brothers, Forrest, has recovered from testicular cancer in the past, and it was his idea that we should raise money for them. So I'm still going to do something and try and give back to Cajones and try and just do an ode to the Scottish chapter somehow.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so, yeah. I mean, why not? If you have a chance to, if you're going to walk at different times, different, during the year, you can donate to 3 or 4 different organizations. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Wow. Dude, I'm impressed, man. I love it. I think, it seems like so often we hear people, not so much the brothers, because the brothers that we talk to, they're all about charity and brotherhood, but people out there are always looking for an excuse why they can't participate in something or raise money for something, or there's a lot of people out there that it's all about excuses. And you know, people like yourself are constantly looking for ways to not only challenge yourself, but find a way to challenge yourself in a way that will also benefit a charity. And I love, that's a great compromise. That's awesome.
Love that. Thank you.
So good to hear, man. Tell me what's on the horizon. You've got your charity things coming up, the other walks you're going to try to do. What else is on your horizon for the rest of the year with either Black Shire or another charity or another chapter?
So I think for the rest of the year, what's looming on the horizon, Black Shire has got their first, I want to call it a world meet, because we want to try and make it a world meet, and that's going to be called Ramsfest. That's getting held in Leeds in July, and the tickets for that just came out tonight at 8 p.m. UK time. So if anyone's looking to go, they're on sale on the Black Shire page. And you're getting your wristband and you get a patch with it, and it works out to be £10. So any of the money we make for that's getting donated towards charity as well. And I'm going to just try and make as many meets as I possibly can. Just meet up with all the brothers, try and connect with more hopefuls and supporters, and try and welcome more brothers into the, and not even just the chapter, but into the villains with open arms, and have a good time this year. Raise as much money as possible for lots of good people who deserve it, and hopefully bring the dog on a couple more of these walks so that she can earn her stripes.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it's just fun too. And I mean, just to be able to have a companion like that to go with you. I'm gonna have to give Alexander a hard time, because you're the first person to tell me he's been on the. I've talked to him a few times about stuff for the podcast, and he knows that I'm always looking for information about other chapters events around the world, not just here in the States, because I try to promote stuff over in the UK and all over the world. And I've never heard anybody tell me about this event that was coming up. So I could have been promoting it all this time. So I'm going to have to give him a hard time. So I appreciate you telling me that it's coming up and that tickets are available. Yeah, I'd smack him on the head if I could. That's good to know, though. I'll make sure I see it right now. I'll make sure I get it on our list for this week and going forward for sure.
Awesome.
But I'm excited to see where your year takes you, and everything that Black Shire does, and keep me posted on your other walks, man. I'd love to. Even if I can't get you on for follow-up interviews each walk, I can at least give a little shout out and say, hey, Uncle Dave's back at it again. He's going on another walk with his dog.
And you know what? We've got the walks, we've got the charity, we've got everything happening with BV. Aside from all that, it's going to be an even more eventful year, as I'm getting married in November. So we've got that to look forward to as well. Now the countdown is really on.
Congratulations. That's great. What date are you guys getting married?
5th of November. Down at the borders in a place called Peebles. So yeah, it's a night to remember, and it's hopefully going to go out with a bang. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Congratulations, man. I'm excited to hear about that too. That could go a whole different bunch of ways when you start inviting brothers to those things.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we've perhaps, I think there's like a handful of brothers that are going, and then we've got family, friends, and everyone in between. But I said to her, I said, Monica, I want to bring all the boys, and she says, we can't just bring all the boys. We can't turn it into a meet. It's a wedding. So I compromised, and I've got a pick of some of the boys from home, and it'll be good with the numbers we've got.
Well, they don't have to all come to the wedding. Just tell them, hey, come to the reception. Don't all eat. Yeah. You're not all allowed to eat. Bring your drinks, and that way everybody can come hang out and celebrate with me.
100%.
That's what you do. All right. Well, Uncle Dave, man, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for taking some time out tonight. I know it's getting late for you. And I'm glad you told me about the Ramfest. I want to get that on the thing. And congratulations on your walk this weekend. Do you have any idea how much your efforts were able to raise just for your efforts this weekend?
So far, I've raised £130, and we started fundraising. I think it was 3 days before the actual event. So pretty happy with that so far. The link is in my bio, and it's going to be open until May the 4th. So if
good.
anyone does want to donate, they still can. And I'm hoping that we can raise up to £200.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I'll during the podcast here, I'll throw up a link right here so everybody can see if they want to go out there to your Instagram. Your Instagram's on here, and I think do you have the link on your Instagram?
I do indeed, yeah.
Okay.
It's sitting in my bio.
Okay. So in the bio, he's got his Instagram. You got the Instagram profile link right there for him. No excuses, guys. Get over there, throw him a few pounds, and see what we can do. So thanks so much for taking some time, buddy. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you one day in person. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Well, I want to try and hopefully make it across to Chicago if funds permit. And if you're going to be there, then it would be great to link up.
I will be there for sure. So let me know.
Awesome.
All right.
Listen, Brian, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you soon.
See you soon, man.
All right, Chief. All right, guys. Man, how cool is it for us to be able to just chill out and have a chat with a bro from across the other side of the pond? I mean, different parts of the world. Learn about them, learn about their experiences, learn about what they've got going on, the charity types of stuff that they're doing. Thanks so much to old Uncle Dave for that. Boy, I'm telling you what, it was so cool. I've never heard of a situation where you can do a walk with all these other people, but each individual person is walking for their own charitable cause. I don't know if we have a walk like that here in the States. I wish we did, because that's pretty cool. And the fact that they have four of those walks over the course of a year, granted, hey, like I said, 23 miles is 23 miles. That's a long walk. But if you're devoted to it, if you're committed to it, the idea that you could do this walk more than once, and each time you choose a different charity to benefit, especially when the organization that oversees it is willing to actually also donate as well and match whatever's done. I mean, that's just amazing. So kudos to you, Dave, man. That's awesome. I want to give a shout out. His IG, I did not have a link specifically. I think you couldn't see it on the video there if you were interested, but it's it looks like it's all one word, Wooden Home, but it's actually W and then 00. So it's W00DENHOME. W00DENHOME. Hit him up on IG. He's got the links in there. Thanks so much for taking some time out with me to talk about this. Great. I loved learning about you, your journey, and such a very, very cool cause you're doing there, man. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo Beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's PULPO, beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. All right, guys. So let's we're going to be sliding in here in just a second to the calendar of events, and we have a ton of events on here for this week. So it's just growing, and I love seeing it. But there's all sorts of opportunities to get out there and do stuff, different meets that are going on. Hopefully, I didn't forget anything this week. We'll see. Most likely I did, so I do apologize. But there's all sorts of stuff going on out there, and I'm going to be at a lot of these different meets, so I can't wait to hang out with you guys for this stuff. So let's just get into what we've got going on here. That's a little too loud. All right. So first up, May 28th. May 28th is the Birmingham meet at Scruffy Murphy's, hosted by the Bearded Villains Central England chapter. Bearded Villains Central England. Scruffy Murphy's, the Birmingham meet, May 28th. That same day, Bearded Villains, Netherlands, it's Beardsterdam, guys. It's Beardsterdam. I can't go. It's too far away, too much money. But if you're over there in that part of the world, head to Beardsterdam for May 28th. Moving into June 10th through the 12th is a weekend where there's lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff, depending on where you are in the world. Lots and lots of stuff. June 10th through the 12th is the West Coast meet in Seattle, Washington, brought to you by the West Washington and East Washington Bearded Villain chapters. Seattle, Washington for the East Coast meet, June 10th through the 12th. That same weekend, Knox Villains. That's where I will be that weekend. It's much closer and less expensive for me than the West Coast meet. One day I'll get over to West Coast meet, I'm sure. Not this year. West Coast meet, Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm sorry, Knox Villains. See, too much on my mind. Knox Villains in Knoxville, Tennessee, hosted by the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. Always a great time. That's where I'll be, June 10th to the 12th. June 11th is Villain Fest 5. It is at Gigi's Hoxton, hosted by the Bearded Villains London chapter. Villain Fest 5, June 11th. That same weekend also, if you are in central Indiana or anywhere near central Indiana, the Bearded Villains Indiana chapter, BVIN, is having their 7-year anniversary party. I don't have any details on that right now. I haven't seen anything come out that they're promoting. So just keep your eyes and ears out for that thing if you're in near central Indiana. Then June 17th and 18th, Great Lakes meet. The Great Lakes meet, hosted by the Bearded Villains Minnesota chapter. It's in Stillwater, Minnesota. There's going to be a Friday meet and greet, Saturday beard competition. Good times. That Great Lakes meet is always a very, very kind of surprising event. The Great Lakes meet's a good time, guys. If you can get there, go. It's a blast. Great Lakes meet, Minnesota, Stillwater, Minnesota, June 17th and 18th. Then moving into July, we got two things this weekend. July 8th through the 10th. July 8th to the 10th. Beards for Bucko. Hosted by your brothers up north in Canada of Toronto, OSW, and Lakeshore, coming together for Beards for Bucko, July 8th through the 10th. I am going to be there. I'm excited, stoked, ready to go. That same weekend, July 9th, is what we just heard about from our brother Uncle Dave in Scotland, talking about it. He lives in Scotland, remember. Black Shire Villains are your hosts, though, for Ramfest. They're hoping for this thing to become as big as a world meet. So if you're anywhere nearby, come over, hang out, check out the Black Shire Villains page right now. Get over there for all the details on Ramfest because they're already selling tickets and packages. So that's definitely something that you want to check out. Ramfest, July 9th. Then July 16th. Is Beards and Brews. It's a beard competition event hosted by your ENC boys down in Florida. Emerald Coast. Emerald Coast. I don't know why I said ENC. It's all letters, guys. It's all letters. The Emerald Coast Villains are hosting that one. Beards and Brews, July 16th. Then we move into late July, West Virginia. In Parkersburg, West Virginia, the West Virginia Whisker Fest, hosted by the West Virginia Bearded Villains, July 22nd and 23rd, Parkersburg, West Virginia. Always a good time there. Those boys know how to host an event. Get there, Parkersburg, West Virginia, July 22nd, 23rd. Then into August we go. August 5th through the 7th. You guys know it's there in Chicago, Illinois. The World Meet. Centrally located for everybody here in the U.S., so you don't have any excuses. Don't want to hear them. Get to Chicago. Come hang out with us. It's the World Meet. It's going to be awesome, guys. World Meet, August 5th through the 7th in Chicago, Illinois. Then we slide ever so gently. We slide into September. September 9th through the 11th. There's two different things going on, two different parts of the country here in the U.S. Battle of the Beards. Battle of the Beards, hosted by the Southern Indiana Villains in Evansville, Indiana. Always a great, great weekend. Raising money for some veterans charities. Battle of the Beards, hosted by Southern Indiana Villains, September 9th through the 11th. And then also the same weekend, September 9th through the 11th, is the Four Corners Meet. Four Corners Meet in Cortez, Colorado. It is for brothers only. Now, for those of you not outdoorsy types, it is an outdoor event, right? You're going camping for the weekend. Brothers with brothers. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No significant others, no parents, no none of that stuff. No kids, just brothers. Four Corners Meet, September 9th through the 11th. Two left, guys. Two left. It's a big list. September 23rd to the 25th is the East Coast Meet. The East Coast Meet, September 23rd to the 25th. It's in Baltimore, Maryland, hosted by the Southern Maryland boys, the SOMD chapter. SOMD chapter. Baltimore, Maryland is the place you want to be. September 23rd to the 25th. Details, well, the details are a little bit out there already. So find the SOMD chapter page and go check it out. Baltimore, September 23rd to the 25th. Then finally, the last thing on my list is from my chapter. Dude, you guys, you want to be here for this. This is going to be a blast. October 22nd, the week before Halloween, so you can still be there with your family on Halloween weekend. The return of Ezra Crow. Return of Ezra Crow. It is the beard competition and costume contest, all in one, rolled up into one. October 22nd here in northern Indiana. You want to be here. Trust me. It's an awesome time. October 22nd for the return of Ezra Crow, beard competition and costume contest. Such a blast. Come one, come all, come hang out with us here in northern Indiana. It's a good time. All right, guys, that's what I've got so far on the calendar of events. If I missed your event, please send me a message. I want to get it on. I don't forget things. I don't leave things off the list intentionally. I would much rather have your event on there than forget about it. So if I did, I do, like I said, I do apologize. So, all right. Well, hey, we've been on here long enough tonight. It's late. And I know you got other things you want to go do, right? Go chill. So, hey, this was episode 132. And we have reached the end of it. 132. Thank you so much for being here on this Thursday night. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, pins, all that good stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. I want to challenge you guys, as I always do, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Remember, there's only about 29 hours left to get onto the crowdfunding campaign for the film. If you have any questions about that, reach out to me. After that, it's gone. And details forthcoming for that. Guys, the most important words I say every week. It's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So, guys, hey, for now, have a great night. Enjoy the night. Enjoy the weekend ahead. Enjoy the week ahead. I'm going to see you back here for episode 133. Nope, I'm sorry. 133. Got to say it right. 133 next weekend, next Thursday night. Take care, guys. Stay safe.
It's the heart. It's the heart.